XDefiant was revealed over 2 years ago as a new free-to-play, competitive, class-based first-person shooter project within the Tom Clancy's universe of video games. It was described by creative director Jason Schroeder and executive producer Mark Rubin at Ubisoft San Francisco as fast-paced firefights meets punk rock mosh pit. A weird combination to say the least, but as weird as combining those things together may seem on the surface, it does kind of make sense how they got there when you look closer at who's making it. The team at Ubisoft San Francisco was previously in charge of the Rocksmith franchise, and Mark Rubin was brought over after having spent over 10 years helping bring Call of Duty from a breakout hit in Modern Warfare 2007 to the gaming Goliath that it is today. At first glance, though, I'd wager there are not a lot of Rocksmith fans watching the XDefiant reveal trailer and Rick Dalton pointing at the screen, as the game has made it very clear they are here to go one-on-one with the great one, Call of Duty. There was a time when competing with COD was an insurmountable proposition, but the winds of change can be felt ever so slightly as the dedicated COD community has developed some cracks in the foundation. Whether it's the fracturing of the player base between Call of Duty proper and Warzone, or more core issues like skill-based matchmaking and engagement-optimized matchmaking, there are some gaps here that could be exploited. And who better to find those gaps than the man that saw them form over a decade plus on the franchise? It's always hard to bet on David in situations like this, but what if? As mentioned in the opening, XDefiant is a new competitive shooter from Ubisoft. Although Ubisoft has a legacy of leaning heavily into the military sim side of things, XDefiant defies that on all fronts. Described as an arcade shooter by the team, its first impression will be quite familiar to anyone who's ever played the now Xbox Game Studios' annual mega hit, Call of Duty. The gunplay, the movement, the control scheme all feel very similar to Call of Duty, which is a good thing. You will sprint, slide, and shoot as you look through a red dot sight, raining bullets down on your foes while leveling up to an epic musical number. You'll still be unlocking new attachments and skins to add to your custom loadouts. The white knuckle action and constant dopamine hits are here and feel as good as ever. But then the first impression ends, and you start to realize that this is not your grandpappy's Call of Duty. There are new modes and new abilities and a bunch of other small changes that result in what I would call a brand new flavor of COD. This is not new Coke, though. This feels like a project that used player feedback as its rubric instead of focus groups and engagement analytics. I know what you're thinking, though. Every game developer says they are listening to player feedback. XDefiant seemingly backs it up, though. For instance, one of the first pain points players pointed out in early tests was the weirdness of this punk rock meets Tom Clancy universe. A concept that, well, strange, clearly had a lot of time, money, and development behind it. However, the team responded, and both the Tom Clancy moniker and punk rock aesthetic are gone. And the game is a little bit better off for it, in my humble opinion. Just because Tom got axed from the title, though, doesn't mean his influence is fully erased. You see, Call of Duty was not the only game that XDefiant was influenced by, as these developers clearly have played more than a few rounds of Overwatch and Super Smash Bros. One of the most defining features in XDefiant is the factions. These essentially act as the game's classes and are a big part in how you play and form strategies. In an ode to Smash Bros., all of the factions are ripped straight out of franchises within the Ubisoft catalog. From The Division to Splinter Cell, Ghost Recon, and even Far Cry, the gang is all here. As a fan of all of these franchises, it's great to see that the team at Ubisoft San Francisco did a lot more than just a palette swap here, as everyone and everything feels quite authentic towards their respective universes. The authenticity goes beyond aesthetics, though, as each faction has its own in-universe announcer, as well as all of the game's maps are plucked right out of those past games. With the map centered around the downed plane from the Division 2's E3 gameplay reveal being a particular highlight for me. Mechanically, they all have their own unique gadget and ultimate abilities that you can access based on your in-game performance in lieu of something like Call of Duty kill streaks. The ultimate and gadgets also help flesh out the role you'll play on your team. If you want to be more of an assault-style role, you can select the Cleaners faction from the Division. With their firebomb drones and flamethrower ultimate, you'll be slaying fools all over the place. If that's not your thing, you can select an Echelon agent from Splinter Cell and opt for more of a recon-oriented role. That faction can scan enemies with a radar pulse gadget, as well as assassinate targets with their Destiny Golden Gun-esque ultimate, where you activate thermal vision and pull out a one-hit kill 3rd Echelon 5.7 pistol for just a brief period. The intricacies of these classes are an important factor, as in what I would consider a bold move, the game is not shipping with any kind of straight-up team deathmatch mode. Everything on offer here requires you to work with your team on some sort of objective, be it an Overwatch-style escort the payload mode or a Halo-style land grab mode. Everything here requires a bit more thinking than straight-up slaying. I say this is a bold move because the most popular playlist in Call of Duty, or most first-person shooters for that matter, is Team Deathmatch. And the closest thing to it in XDefiant is its take on Kill Confirmed, called Hotshot, where once you pick up 3 kill confirmations, you start to move around the map at superhuman speed, but also appear as an icon on your enemy's HUDs. Personally though, I think this was a great idea, as all of these modes are fun to play and put a big emphasis on the game's strengths, at least initially, as the devs have mentioned new modes coming in the future that could possibly fill that team deathmatch sized hole. All of the classes bring something unique to the table and complement the game's very fluid and responsive gunplay very well. At launch, the game has 5 factions to choose from, however, one of them is locked behind a pay or progression wall. That's right, the DedSec faction from Watch Dogs 2 will cost you 1,000 XDefiant coins to instantly unlock, around $10 US, or it will unlock for free if you complete the seasonal challenge by earning 700,000 XP while playing. It's definitely unfortunate to see something as core to the game as a faction being locked away in this manner, but it's somewhat easier to swallow when you see the speed at which XP is acquired. See, I'm a dad gamer who at best can scratch out 2 to 3 hours a session when everyone else in the house is asleep, and within that time I was able to get around 10 to 15% of the way there after just one session. I'd say on average it will take around 1 to 2 weeks to unlock for most people. There are also daily challenges on offer that can help speed this process up as well. In fact, challenges play a big role in all progression, not just unlocking the Watch Dogs faction. Every piece of equipment, every gun, even player models within each faction are unlocked by completing challenges. These typically require some combination of you getting a specific amount of kills in a specific way with a specific gun while playing as a specific faction. This system is a welcome addition, as you can easily target which guns you want to work towards, and they are all unlocked pretty quickly. I was able to unlock nearly every gun in the game before hitting level 30, and that could have been done a lot faster if I focused more on it. All of your attachments and prestige skins for weapons are unlocked the old-fashioned way though, by using the equipment and leveling it up with XP. Overall, the progression system is quite satisfying to work through. In terms of additional paid content, you have the standard assortment of premium cosmetic bundles and battle passes. The battle pass does actually include a new weapon in the MDR assault rifle, unlocked at level 10. However, it's one of the few free unlocks that come with the battle pass, so no purchase is required to unlock it. The final unlock, however, is a pretty awesome skin for the MDR, which was enough to convince me to take the plunge. The Battle Pass is marketed as a pre-season Battle Pass and is only lasting for around 40 days, much shorter than your typical 3-month seasons that we're used to seeing in similar titles. So it remains to be seen what a full season will look like, and more importantly, what it will cost. The familiar gameplay and the factions based on iconic Ubisoft franchises may be what gets put on the box art to draw people in, but there's something happening under the hood with XDefiant that is grabbing the attention of the more hardcore audience. I'm of course talking about the game's matchmaking, or more specifically, how matches are made. The team at Ubisoft San Francisco has been quite vocal on their stance against skill-based matchmaking or engagement-optimized matchmaking. in a lot of the game's press, which has been music to many people's ears. In short, skill-based matchmaking and engagement-optimized matchmaking have been removed with the intention of leading to more dynamic matches and a more organic feeling of play for those who just want to casually jump into some matches with friends. At the same time, it also stops punishing players for improving their skill and removing the feeling of being manipulated. The TLDR is that you will likely have less frustration playing in casual matches on XDefiant versus other modern shooters, specifically in relation to the widely inconsistent levels of competition in your matches. Now, I'm going to go on a little rant about why this is so important, but if you really don't care about the ins and outs of matchmaking, feel free to skip to the time on the screen. Ever since Halo 2, we've gotten used to asking the game devs to find opponents for us to play against within a specific set of parameters, i.e. a playlist. It's a system that is extremely convenient and gets us into matches with random opponents very quickly. However, over the years, that randomness of those opponents has been under some scrutiny. Enter skill-based matchmaking. Originally starting off as a system to try and create an even playing field for all players by observing the performance of individuals, assigning them an ELO-like rank, and then matching them up with similarly skilled players. The thought process was that in a perfect world, if highly skilled players played together and the people who were just there to have a good time played together, everyone would have more fun. Unfortunately, we don't live in a perfect world, and the system has drawn the ire of many, many people. The systems have become overly aggressive, resulting in the feeling of being punished for improving as a player. It also removes all of the dynamism that makes playing multiplayer games in these sandboxes so fun. Not to mention, it falls apart completely when you try to play with people of different skill levels, resulting in frustratingly inconsistent matches. These are games that are designed to have winners and losers at the end of the day, and it's not a great feeling to know that the game's matchmaking system is actively trying to prevent you from winning too much. But it gets worse. Engagement-optimized matchmaking, the evolution of skill-based matchmaking, has entered the chat. Engagement-optimized matchmaking uses even more player data to try and find the best way it can manipulate your psychological tendencies and reactions to wins, losses, and the level of challenge in a match to try to keep you playing longer. It preys on how human beings respond to the chemical reaction our brains have when we perform well at something, as well as what happens when that sense of pride is swept away, all in an effort to keep you chasing that high. Finally, as if it couldn't get any worse, the makers of Call of Duty also hold patents to use these complex algorithms to arrange matches to influence game-related purchases. If you want to know more about the effectiveness and methodology of engagement-optimized matchmaking, UCLA did a comprehensive study analyzing millions of matches worth of data provided by EA and Respawn, and I'll link the results of that study in the description box below. All in all, it's safe to say that most players understand that when entering a ranked mode, there is expected to be some thought involved to who you play against. The entire point of ranking is to try and see where you fall amongst the community in terms of your skill level and strive to improve your position in that regard. That being said, players are getting tired of that mentality seeping into every aspect of play, even in casual modes. Players don't want to be punished with inconsistent experiences as a result of them playing with a group of friends that have a skill level variance, or be punished by simply improving as a player. So the fact that XDefiant offers this in its non-ranked playlist is a welcome change and hopefully the beginning of a new trend in PvP games to come. The foundation of XDefiant is strong. There is a lot to love about the package at launch. There is a substantial amount of content in terms of maps, modes, weapons, and loadouts. The future is bright too, as the team has commented that all of the content for the first season is already fully developed, and they're currently building stuff for year 2. They have also admitted that there's no limits in terms of their access to the Ubisoft treasure trove of properties, so it's safe to say we will see even more of our old favorites show up down the road. However, this still very much is a foundation at this point in time, and there are some glaring issues out of the box. Of course, with any new competitive game with this level of variance in the sandbox, thanks to different classes, loadouts, and the like, balance is a key concern. Right now, sniping seems a bit strong at the moment, with one-hit body kill shots being a thing, and in some cases, people are complaining pretty heavily about rampant bunny hopping. The biggest issue, though, has got to be network desync. There are several instances on a per-game basis where it feels like you got behind cover and still died. I'm not the only one that's noticed this either, as a quick look into the game's community on X, Reddit, or other social networks, and you'll quickly see that this is the #1 on the complaints list. Thankfully, the team at Ubisoft San Francisco has been very vocal about what they're doing to address community feedback and already shown an ability to get out fixes quickly, with bunny hopping and sniping having updates very, very soon. So I have faith for now that this will be addressed. Other notable shortcomings would definitely be the lack of a ping system or named map areas to help with callouts. These features are vital for communication in any team-based shooter, but stick out a lot more when you're dealing with a game as fast-paced as this one. Since the game is also missing a proper ranked mode at launch, though, it hasn't stopped me from having fun in more casual matches. When a proper ranked mode does launch, these issues are going to be a major problem though, so I'm hopeful that we'll see these addressed before then. Overall, XDefiant does a lot of things right. The authentic representation of some of Ubisoft's most iconic franchises will undoubtedly get people in the door, while the fluid and responsive combat ensures any arcade shooter fan has a good time while they're here. Even with some missing features and technical shortcomings, I believe that its thoughtful progression systems, player-friendly matchmaking, and a solid content pipeline will keep this game going for the long haul. My only question is, when is the Rayman DLC dropping?